Oh, there he goes. All right, let's introduce our guest properly. He's originally from Oakland, California, but he's coming live from France. He's part of a few different groups, Quantum Projects, the Mighty Underdogs, Lateef and the Chief, and hopefully I got this name right. I think it's Lateef. And he also has some solo albums as well. Solo album, few mixtapes, and he's very, very versatile. Listen to his music. I really like what I hear. A lot of different styles, a lot of different sounds. He's dabbled in other genres as well. Let's bring on the one and only Lateef, the Truth Speaker. Lateef,
Hello,
how you doing?
sir. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I was out off an hour. I thought it was actually y'all were 6 hours ahead and y'all were 5 hours ahead actually.
Yeah. Paris and the UK are a little bit off, but yeah.
So did I pronounce that name, the group name right with lyrics born? Is that Latyrix?
You did pronounce it right, which is not everybody don't do that, but yeah, you did.
Okay. And that's basically your name and lyrics born put together, right?
Yeah, yeah, like Monifa or something.
So let's start up. You grew up in Oakland.
Yes, sir. Right.
What moments in your childhood shaped your voice that we hear today in the music?
Oh wow, um, that's tough. I have a lot of different. Um, I would say I've gotten a lot of different contributions from different teachers.
Mm,
Um, I think for rap, there were certain moments early on that really uh, shaped it. Certain songs really. I always thought, uh, "Come along and ride," "Fantastic Voyage," by
slide,
Lakeside.
slippity slide. Yeah.
Had a little rap in it. But even before that, my father was a big. He used to listen to a lot of bebop, and so he would play like Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross and stuff like that.
Okay.
And particularly, there's a song that me and Gab used to bug out on when we first met called Cloudburst. Um, and in it, I mean, the dude is really rapping well. And so stuff like that, even, stuff like Trouble Man, Marvin Gaye. There were certain songs to me that I always kind of heard and that for me were kind of preludes to what would one day would coalesce into hip hop. My dad was a big Watch Prophets fan, so I would hear that. Gil Scott Heron, stuff like that. So hip hop wasn't when it started to kind of emulsify into an idea. I had heard the ideas coming for a long time, and they made sense to me. Yeah. Even Stevie Wonder. You
So
know. hmm
okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your father, and I noticed
hmm
both of your parents had connections to the Black Panther movement. How
hmm
did that influence your perspective as an artist?
I think even more than an artist, just as a person, I think that it really entrenched me. That in the Bay Area entrenched me in a very strong, um, maybe maybe it wasn't totally sane, but an idea of just doing it yourself. Of um
Okay.
of of, of self realization and self dependence and independence in that way. And I've always, since I started, I've always been independent and believed in independence as a way to get things done. And I still do, now to this day, I'm still doing it independent in a lot of ways, in a lot of different ways. So, yeah. And I think that as far as the Black Panther movement, though, that was really a political education that I think, especially right now, just, um, predicting the future. It's what it is now, the things that we were warned about and warning people about at the time. It's just
Yeah.
very much come to pass at this point. And I think that's one of the reasons I was a little bit prepared for this, especially after the first go round with what was going on in what was that, 2016. I just kind of saw what was coming and was, moved appropriately. And also some serendipitous stuff happened that landed me out here in France. But yeah, word.
So you formed this group with Lyrics Borns, and how did that duo form?
I mean, when we did it, it was a very kind of we were young. We were on the same page creatively. We were growing together as
Okay.
well as with Blackalicious and DJ Shadow, um, and all of those things all together led to us just sharing ideas and crystallizing ideas together that were, in retrospect, very forward thinking and still get duplicated and replicated to this day. I'm proud of a lot of that work, and it was a real baptism for me in the industry, and I think Lyrics Born as well. That I really appreciated all of the touring, all of the shows, doing it independently, and that was back in the good economy. We would be linking up
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
shows to break out the merch money, and it looked like a drug deal back there. It was great.
So I mean, working with Lyrics Borns, like what made the chemistry so unique?
I think that the thing about me and Lyrics Born was that early on we were able to shed our egos and contribute to songs uh, for their greater good. And that's so you have a lot of
Yeah.
trade, a lot of back and forth and stuff on our stuff, and a lot of that stuff I really couldn't tell you who wrote what today. We wrote the songs together. If somebody
Okay.
had a good idea, then the good idea won, and we didn't fight for our own. I mean, we fought for our own ideas, but if somebody had a good idea, it's a good idea. You said it's a good idea, and you put that in there, and even if it was on your part of the song, you was gonna say the part, and that's just how
Yeah.
it was. So I think that was one of the big parts of our chemistry, and we still have it to this day. We still work on songs, still work on music. Um, I would say it's a trip now because our understanding both of songwriting and making stuff is so much more developed,
Uh huh.
and we still are able to help each other clarify our ideas and come out with good ones. I did a bunch of co-writing on his last record that he just put out, and some of that stuff was really well received, and I was really happy to see that because we both worked on it and worked hard on it, figuring out what the ideas were and the order and all this stuff. So that was great. I still enjoy and learn working with Lyrics Born to this day. So yeah.
So you brought up that y'all don't have an ego when y'all did the albums together and stuff. Did you think that's basically the downfall of most groups is the ego?
It's hard for me to say, not the groups I'm in. um, it's hard for me to speak to other groups. I see it sometimes with other groups, and it seems like maybe that's a factor. And I think that I think one of the things about Lyrics Born and I, and the reason that we could operate egoless is because we were both supportive of each other.
Okay.
When when
Yeah.
when Lyrics Born wanted to go work on a solo record, it wasn't like I was like, no man, you got it, no, I'm gonna control you. It wasn't like that at all. It's never been like that between the two of us. And we support each other in our various endeavors, not even just music, family, whatever, other things that you're interested in. So I think that's really where a lot of that chemistry is. And all of my relationships with all of the quantum folks, all the artists, the friendship, I decided early on that the friendship came before the music. And
Okay.
as a result, I'm still really, really good friends with everybody in it, from DJ Zen, Chief XL, and I have a new Lateef and the Chief record that's not nobody's heard it yet. It's not. We're about to start letting some folks listen to that. Me and DJ Shadow talking about working on a new song right now. That's my guy. Uh, yeah, man. Even DJ Zen, who does all of this writing and stuff, who the book just came out with his Bruce Lee book. I
Okay.
see and I talk to him. He helps me work on. I have some writing projects, and he helps me on those. So the friendship has always been most important to me of those relationships, and I still, you know, I still do that. I'm like that with a lot of folks that I work with, to be honest, man. Fatboy Slim. I go kick it with Fatboy Slim sometimes at his spot. Just go kick it.
Mhm.
I step out of France, I go to the UK for a couple weeks, and I'm chilling with my homie. It's not working on no music or nothing. We just chilling, having dinner, going out, going whatever, grab some food, whatever. Yeah.
Well, that goes into my next question. So you work with Fatboy Slim. How different is it collaborating across genres?
This is something that I always uh thought was interesting. Some of the stuff that I've done with Fatboy Slim has been lightweight hits. We got nominated for a Grammy for one of those songs.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like, a lot of the stuff that I like the most, it gets called pop nowadays, whether it be Outkast or Lauryn Hill or something like that. I think about how if those records didn't blow up, they wouldn't have that label at all. um, and how important it is to remain yourself in the
Yeah.
process
Yeah.
of working on things, regardless of genre, because your authenticity is ultimately
Yeah.
what should resonate with people. Or I find, and when I say should resonate with people, I don't mean that that's the only way it's done. Some people are fake as hell, and that resonates with people, whatever the fakeness is. But you got to live with that too. The
Yeah.
ripples from that fakeness are what you will also experience through your life, and I'm not into that. I would rather be authentic, and then if I'm in Italy and the song comes on the radio and somebody likes it and they're like, "Oh my God, is that you?" and I can be like, "Yeah, that's me." And I got to be like, "No, that's not me. That's not me." I don't have to do that. So, um, I think that being yourself and being true, it transcends genre. And as long as you do that, and that's what I've always tried to do, I think that you'll be all right, regardless of where the song ends up. I'm not really one of those guys who like I'm not gonna go into a studio with a bunch of record execs and play my song and have them clap, and all of a sudden I think, oh, the song is something different. Like the song is what it was when I came in there. You can clap or not clap. I either like it or I don't. It's not really gonna affect me. You know what I mean? It's not gonna change me. So I kind of have that consistently when I'm working on something. No matter the genre, do I like it? If I like it, then I'm good. And then if I think that whatever that
Yeah.
idea is it translates well, then that's cool. I have a project out here in France that I'm working on called Growl. It's myself, a rapper from the group Cyan Super Crew, a big French group. My boy Leroy,
Okay.
one of the rappers in it. There were six people in that group. Um, and General Electrics and the drummer Cyril Lateef of Bumcello. So we got this band, and we go
Okay.
in once a month to this place, La Petite Halle, and we perform once a month. And we have a record, 12 songs that we did. Um, and I had my ideas. It's the first time that I've done a record and then played it before the record came out. Usually I make a record and then I sit there and I say, "Oh, this is the best song, or that's the best song. We should put this one out. This is a single. This will be on radio, whatever." And with this project, it's been different because we go in and we perform it for people,
Yeah.
and the people dictate what the set list has. We have ended up dictating what the set list is, and songs that I was like, that's just all right, you know, have ended up being the obvious runaway hits. Like if there are hits on this record in order, it's one of those things where when you play it live, your opinion actually, even as the creator of it, starts to matter less because will tell you what they like the
Yeah.
most. They turn a lot of for this, they gravitate to that. You can see it when it happens. Um, and I think that that's different and has kind of changed some of my ideas about, I don't know, my ear or my ability or not my inability to hear hits. I don't know. Because the two songs that resonate the most when we perform them live are not the two songs that I would have picked off of the record for singles. I mean, I might have, but it wouldn't have been like we need to go all in on these. Now it's like it's not even really my decision. You can tell those are the two that need to be remembered.
Well, I always felt like a lot of artists make music for themselves when if you got a certain core fan base, you really should be making the music for them.
I think I would kind of flip that around a little bit in the sense of
Okay.
like I see some artists that will have a hit and then like have
Uh-huh.
some kind of weird resentment for the hit, you know, like like you wrote the shit and it blew up. Like if that's what the crowd want to hear, don't go out there and not play it
Yeah,
because you
yeah,
got some kind of emotional thing going on with the song. Give the people what they want. You wrote the song, that's their
yeah.
song. Go out there and see it. I go out, I still do Lady Don't Take No to this day because if somebody's there from the Bay, that's probably what they came to hear. And you know, I can feel how I want to feel about it. You know what I'm saying? They like what they like, and there is that. Like, there are some songs that I've written that I really like a lot. I enjoy that song that I wrote. But if nobody ever has to hear about it, that's great. That's great that I like it. You know what I mean? I can go listen to it when I want to listen to it. But if I'm gonna go do songs for other people, then I need to get kind of an idea of what it is that they're vibing with and what it is that resonates with them and present that to them. I don't know that you need to necessarily make music for other people, but I think that once you present your music as yourself and as your offering, you don't the options or choices for what it is that you're going to play to a certain extent, they start to get taken out of your hands if you're lucky enough to have people listen and like them. You
Yeah.
know, if those are the
You're
people
right.
showing up.
Everybody isn't that lucky.
That's right. That's right. Some people just always listening to their own stuff like, man, this is great. And whether you right or wrong don't even matter. You know what I mean? It's other people, I know tons of people that have records that they've never released, and that's awesome. Maybe that is the best record that was ever made. It just doesn't count,
Because
you
nobody
know?
knows.
That's right. Nobody knows. It's a great piece of art you get to enjoy and hopefully learn from and grow from and discover new things about it. But we don't all get that enjoyment, and therefore, in terms of the community, it just doesn't count.
So you've been in this underground scene for a long time now. The Is the era feel any different than back in the days?
Yeah, definitely,
What's
definitely.
different?
I think, um, I talk about this sometimes, and I just feel like, you know, selling records used to be more like selling drugs.
Yeah.
And now selling records is more like pushing an app,
Okay.
and it's not the same thing, you know. Online marketing is not the same as hand to hand crack sales.
Nope.
Um, and I come from the era of hand to hand crack sales, and I was good at that. Um, you know, and that's kind of still what I kind of do. Sell crack. No, I'm kidding. But I'm still out here. I actually enjoy selling physical product more than I enjoy selling digital product. Straight up, like I like the creative process that goes into creating something that somebody gets to experience. I like the creative process that goes into making an album. I like to create both physically and on the mic in the whole studio. All, blah, blah, blah. Uh, you know, the other stuff is necessary nowadays. You gotta do what you got to do, especially if you're going to shoot for the moon, which I think
Yeah.
every artist should do with every project they have while they can, because there's only a certain window that's open for a while of when it's new, when the baby is new to the world, and I think everybody should go for it at that moment. But I think and even that brass ring is different from what it used to be, you know, and so you just have to consider as an artist what it is that you consider success and what it is what those measurements are for you. Is it being on Rap Radar and being on all these other platforms and ultimately potentially lifting them up after you've been forgotten and maybe your content is barely even shared, or is that a goal? And if it is, then that's
Yeah.
awesome to go for it. And if you want something else, or if you feel like if that's not going to satisfy you as an artist, then maybe that shouldn't be your goal. You should have a different goal. So I think that's kind of how the difference is from the old, how it used to be to now. And also, I mean, even when I started though, you got to think the independent route was rare, bro. Like
Yeah.
Full Size put out its first record, and it was us and Wu Tang. That Protect Your Neck, the
Damn.
black and white version. There was nothing else out.
Yeah.
Um, you know, E40 was the only other cast that was putting stuff out sick with it, and that was the label that we looked at and was like, they're doing it good. I can remember being in the car with Festo, who I went to high school with all of the high road guys. And I was
Okay.
like, man, y'all should go independent. We going independent. We're doing this. And he was like, oh wow, and he was listening. And then sure enough, I was like, cause y'all got it. Y'all got the crowds. You could just go tour by yourself. You can build it by yourself. And he I'm sure I wasn't the only one telling him that, but I was one of them. Um, and I just feel like back then there was also a way that as a youngster you could kind of communicate, and we went into the whole game and we kind of emulated what we saw majors doing, and we
Mm-hmm.
just straight took we stripped their the hip hop industry at that time and what it was, and we just applied it to what we were doing. So we had distribution deals like we were a major but we were indie. um at a certain point we were hiring on reps that would get fired from uh, from the labels. We would go after those. We find out
Okay.
who they were, go holler at them, hire them on for what we could pay them, and tell them to go do what they were doing for the rep for the major for us.
Yeah.
Um, and we would just kind of clone what the majors were doing, and we would do it on the indie level, much scrappier. And there were ways that helped to inform all of our peers. From Mystic Journeymen who were out there just when they were doing it much more just straight hand to hand. You know what I mean? We were getting into stores and people kind of considered us with Quantum like the professional indie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anytime that we made a move, we went to a new distributor. We turned around and it was six of our peers. The cruise was on our backs. You know what I mean? Just we going where they going, we going where they going, we going where they going because we had we had good successes with our stuff. Um, and a lot of support. I can remember going to the record store in Minneapolis, and Atmosphere Slug came out and was like, "Hey man, I love this Lateef record." Da 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 da. He hadn't put out a record yet. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Um, and just to kind of know, and then look, and then Rhymesayers comes out, and they kind of base what they're doing off of what we were doing, and have tremendous success. You know. And I have some people who come up to me and they're like, "Oh man, these cats be biting you," and I'm like, "Bro, th- ain't that the whole point of this whole thing?" Like,
Yeah.
like I'm here because I listened to some cats rapping and was like, "Wow, that's great. I'd like to do that." Then I looked at what they were doing
Yeah.
in business. Wow, that's great. I'd like to do that. Look at their albums. Wow, this is brilliant. I would love to do this. If somebody does that, if somebody looks at my stuff and does that, shouldn't I be flattered? Like, ain't I happy to be a link in the same chain that done fed me? Like, that's the whole point. So yeah,
Yeah. People are so negative. They automatically just call it biting when it could be that you're inspired or,
yeah,
or you inspired them.
absolutely. And those are the best. It is inspirational when people are inspired by you, straight up.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
people are like I remember Gab, this brother Afro, right?
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
from New York. He was a big Gab fan. And at some point he
Okay.
reached out and he told Gab so. And bro, Gab couldn't shut up about how raw Afro was. And he's right. But my point is just how having somebody that he liked that much be inspired by him was for him
Yeah.
inspiring, you know? And
Yeah.
that's kind of how it should be.
So let's talk about your solo album debut that you had, Firewire. How important was that for you when that came out?
Man, that record was super important for me. It was a record that, I did it with a bunch of my friends. Dan the Automator was very helpful with me on that project. He
Okay.
gave me some excellent artistic advice during the course of that. Um, of making that record. He produced one of the songs on there. There's a song with Shadow on there. It was really a culmination of me working with just everybody in the crew and really, really writing a lot. I wrote a ton for that record. There's
Mhm.
a mixtape, The Truth at Sea, that came out at the same time. That has a bunch of the stuff that was only like a verse or two that we had worked on, but there's like 30, 40 songs on that thing. Like altogether, it
Uh,
was a collection of almost like 60, 70 songs that I had done. Um, and the writing was good, you know. I mean, I did it over the course of like 2 years or something like that, 2 or 3 years. But you know, I wasn't repeating myself. You know what I mean? Like I was coming with new ideas and new ideas. So it was very good for me, especially like artistically at that time. Um, and I think it was kind of like it was a genre bender. It wasn't really like me staying in one place, and I was exploring some sounds and
yeah.
some textures of my voice and singing and stuff I hadn't done. Um, yeah, I really, really enjoyed that record. And that record was also one of the pipelines to France for me. I toured that record in France more than I toured it in the US. Um, I got invited to come
Okay.
out here with Mr. J. Medeiros and Stro, the percussion Stro, who plays now with the Roots. Um, and Mr. J. Medeiros, who he's out here in Paris now. He's in this group with out here with Sil 20, um, Alta. They have a French group that they do, and you know, pretty big out here. And he comes through to the
Okay.
growl parties and sits in with us and be rocking with us. And they had me come out when I did the Firewire record, and I toured with them. I toured with General Electrics out here, and so I did a bunch of tours around that album out here. And in the States, I think I did one or two, and I think one of them was like with Black Alicious or something like that. Yeah. But it was one of the things that
When I was listening,
really
it felt
excited.
like there was a lot of experimenting going on with the sounds. I like the
Yeah.
fact that it wasn't just hip hop. There was a couple songs that really stood out to me as my favorites on the one Only Thought
Oh wow.
and Left
Okay.
Alone.
Yeah, that's the one that
Like
Left Alone was done by uh by my guy who incidentally was also the first person that ever recorded all of the Dan the Automator was the first person that I recorded like my first single with. So that
okay.
was also on the Firewire. That was the first song he and I had worked on together like that. Although we did a couple of other things on a project called Pillow Fight. That was also good. But but yeah, those songs were good. That's interesting that you like Only Thought. Only Thought is an interesting song for me, man, because that song is based on a song that you can't hear anymore because the artists that originally did the song that I heard that inspired it totally took the song down. And that was the song
Oh
from
man.
the Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels soundtrack, the original one called Oh Girl by the Evil
Uh-huh.
Superstars, which was like a super group at the time. And I guess they had a falling out with the label to put it out. La 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 la. You can't hear the song no more. I think you might, if you can know, you can usually find something on YouTube. You might be able to find it on there, but that song was the kind of root. I liked that song a lot. And then Only Thought was really, I was kind of looking for a place to couch some ideas that I had at the time about some relationship ideas, and that was what came out as we were working on it. That was what the producers had played me something, and I was like, ooh, it kind of reminds me a little bit of that. I want to kind of explore this idea some. And of course, when I did that, I was like, "Oh, let me go back and listen to the song because I couldn't get the song. What happened?" And yeah, you know,
You had another one. You had a video for. I think it's called Hekuvit.
yes, heck of it. Yeah,
Where do
yeah.
you come up with these all these different styles that you have?
Oh man, I think I really like music, man. I really like
Yeah.
music. I like a lot of different kinds of music, so I listen to a lot of different stuff. I listen to, and I mean a lot of different stuff. I listen to I listen to a lot of reggae. I listen to a
Okay.
lot of Afrobeat. You know,
Afrobeats is
I think that
hitting.
I mean, Afro beats to me, and so this is an interesting theory I have about music in general is that to me right now, Afro beats is probably the most alive music on the planet.
I agree. I agree.
Um, and to me, the litmus test of how you can tell if a music is alive or the most alive is that when you have other artists from other genres do collaborations with that music,
Yeah.
does that music sound like whoever the other genre is, or does it sound like them just doing that genre? Because that's what hip hop used to do.
Yeah.
If you were going to make a rock hip hop song, rock people gonna hate that song because that song's hip hop now. Everything hip hop changed. even reggae at the
You
time.
right.
If hip hop
You
is the
right.
Mad Cobra song, that's a hip hop song now. I know y'all, it was the Big Bully. I know y'all think this is,
Yeah.
I know y'all love him and everything, but that's hip hop's now. You can't have that back. And to me, now you hear hip hop artists on Afrobeat songs, and it's an Afrobeat song. Bad Bunny on the Afrobeat song. It's an Afrobeat song. Um, J Balvin, Afrobeat song. Um, it don't matter who it is. Afrobeats is the living amoeba at the moment, and if you touch it, it's gonna eat you, not the other way around. Um, I think there are a lot of other things about Afrobeat that are also super, super interesting and super dope. In some ways, it seems like it's like reclaiming all of its assets from the diaspora and just taking all of the different arms of itself and incorporating it back into itself and making it stronger. It's great to see. But I listen to everything, man. I listen to electronic and punk, and I listen to rock. I listen to all of that stuff. I like a good melody. I like good lyrics. I like good writing. Um, so it doesn't really matter what genre it is. If I like the song, I like the song, and if I connect with the song, I connect with the song. And I will also say that there was a time in my 30s when I was like a little bit like pessimistic. When I was like a
Mhm.
hater, I didn't like nothing. And I found that I had to adjust how I was listening to music, and I had to make it so that I listened to new songs to like them and to find what I
Yeah.
liked about them. And if I didn't like it, then there's something about it I didn't understand, you know. And if I could find something that I understood about it, I didn't necessarily have to like it, but I could understand why maybe somebody else might. Um, and have that information if I ever needed to lean on it. Um, so there's that too. Like I've changed my ear and how I listen to listening to like songs and listening for things I like in songs as opposed to trying to not like a song. Because hey, the fact of the matter is you can't listen to everything. It's too much shit right now. It's too much.
Yeah,
It's
no, it is.
too much.
60,000, 100,000 songs a day, that's too much, man.
It's too much. And if you really don't like something, with that many songs, if it's something new, you got to be like, okay, I don't want. I'm not feeling this one. This one's not attracting me. I'm not connecting with this one. Whatever. But at a certain level, when it comes to almost any artist, and I mean almost any artist, like once they start to get to a catalog that's like 50 to 100 people, 100 songs.
Uh-huh.
If you don't like something that they made, you probably aren't listening, you know?
Yeah.
Because you put anybody at the top of the 3-point line, give them 100 shots, something's going to go in. No? Something was a good song. Something was a good idea, at least. They hit a good melody somewhere. Something, even if it was derivative. Um, so there's that too. Like I feel like that, like about Drake. People like I hate Drake. I'm like, you could say you don't like Drake the person, but you
Yeah.
can't just say none of the songs are good and just put a
Yeah,
blanket over a
that
huge, 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 catalog. Um, yeah, and I
you
think
don't
that's
have
true for.
200 hits if you ain't got no good songs.
Come on, and you
You
got
got
some of the
literally
best songwriters
200
in the world
freaking
working on.
hits. Yeah.
Yeah, and the best songwriters in the world helping. You know, that don't make no sense. That means that you're listening with prejudice, like I was just saying. You know what I'm saying? You're not listening to like something. You're listening to not like something, which is different. You know.
Well, I don't think most people will open up their minds to other genres. Like I do music reviews on Saturdays. We review all genres. I mean, lately, like the rock songs been killing it. The blues song, like blues, you give me a guy who's on a blues guitar and he can sing, man, it's hard for me to pick a rapper, just a guy who only raps over a guy who's killing the blues guitar and he's singing like crazy. It's just hard for me to pick a rapper over that.
It is. I mean, you got to be talented. You know what I mean? I think you got to be talented no matter what it is that you're touching. You know what I mean? Blues is a little bit easier because the pace usually of the songs is slower, which allows you to think more
Yeah.
in the middle, so you can
Yeah.
come up with stuff. And the space in between the lyrics can let a lyric sink and hit a little bit harder than a lot of times with hip hop. The stringing together of the ideas and the heaviness of them is what's dope. You know, you think about it like a Black Thought, you know what I mean? And it's heavy thought, heavy thought, heavy thought, heavy thought,
Yeah.
heavy, and you get your mind thinking like that. And if you don't like thinking a lot fast, you might not like that music, you know, and
Black
rap
Thought.
in general,
Yeah.
you know. But a lot of people,
Yeah.
but more people can listen to music where they have some time to digest the lyric and then be like, oh yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, and then you can look at it like this, and then okay, now we're talking about something else. All right. Oh yeah, that's true. And oh, you can think about it like this, and then oh, then now something's coming. You know, that's a much easier mental pace to keep than a lot of than motherfucking Mike and Nine. I mean, this
I actually
guys,
interviewed him too. Yeah.
yeah, good dude, good brother.
He,
I like Mike and Nine.
they say he got the biggest vocabulary in hip hop.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I mean, he says the most words. You know what I mean? It's going got these Kobe.
He probably
You
saying
know?
words that I can't even pronounce.
Oh, bro.
He's
I
over
mean,
there saying words I can't even pronounce. I don't even know the definition of yet. Like his vocabulary is crazy.
yeah. You know, the other thing to me that's amazing about Mike and I, having worked with him before. You know, we got a song "Top Qualified" together on the Haiku d'Etat record, which is him, Abstract Rude, and AC Alone's record project together. He did a song with all of the Quantum, so me, Gab, and
Okay.
Lyrics Born. And on that song, man, the chorus, he came up with the chorus, right? But 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 Mike and Nine's freestyle zone is so heavy that it really he does not remember what he just said. You know, he'll start freestyling and he just disassociates, you know, and he is
It's
completely
crazy.
leaning into his
That's
subconscious mind
crazy.
to just lead him where it wants to go. And it's a trip. You know, I find Casual is similar. He can just kind of go there, you know. I don't know if he remembers afterwards, but I know that with Mike and Nine with that chorus, I mean, he went off and he started flowing. He went into the top qualified. And I was like, hey, hold on. That was the chorus right there. He was like, what I say? What I say? He was like, bro, you were right here. He was right here, my guy.
That's
I was right
crazy.
here, and you was right there, and you rapped it. I'm gonna tell you what you said. Hold on. And that was the chorus. But brilliant. You know what I mean? Just I mean that just a brilliant. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So your name is the truth speaker. What does truth mean to you in today's world, especially when people are allergic to truth? They actually call truth hate nowadays.
Yeah. You know, obviously with a name like that, it's come up a time or two. Um, you know, for me, the name the name comes from the name that was given to Osiris and the Hall of Gods and some Egyptian shit. Um, I think that what it's meant for me throughout my career is just simply that I have to speak my truth. And what it's come to mean more and more is that I just have to be very, very honest about what I see, how I see it, and that as long as I do that, it's authentic, you know, and it is what it is, and I don't have to. I can stand 10 toes down on it. I think that in general, I think that that's one of the hardest things for most people to do. And one of the trickiest parts about it, to be honest, is the fact that in our lives, there's so much change. And what can be true for you is supposed to change, you know? Like my dreams at 14 are not supposed to be the same as my dreams at 24, which is not going to be the same as my dreams at 34, which is not going to be the same as my dreams at 44.
Yeah.
And along the way, at some point, I'll have to be honest with myself and truthful about the fact that there's something going on there that's not working for me anymore. And it's up to me to figure out what that is. And I think that that's true for everybody in their lives, you know. That change and that growth is where are the biggest stumbling blocks to kind of expressing and finding our own truths, you know. So I think that that's what it means mostly for me now. I think in today's era of truth and people bending the truth and lying point blank, um, I think that it makes it so that you got to watch out. You know, you got to watch out, and I think now more than ever, it's important for communities to come together and be honest with each other, and and you have to be vigilant and you have to be careful. I mean, whew, it's a lot of Judases out here, and they don't even need 30 pieces of silver no more. It's just a copper. They're giving it up. Um, and I think that in that same idea and in that kind of same space, it's important to really appreciate, be thankful and grateful for, and search out like-minded individuals that aren't like that and that are willing to speak their truths
Yeah.
and speak your truth to you. You know, sometimes your truth will come at you through somebody else's mouth, and you'll be like, "Damn, I don't know if I was ready for that one," but that's really what it is. You know, a good partner. You know what I'm saying? My lady now, she's good at that. You know?
Do you think in the music industry that some musicians don't have like realistic goals? It seems like everybody at one point always had the same goal, like to just sign to a major label, but everybody can't get to a major label. Sometimes you need to be independent, and I think just everybody, some people don't have realistic goals in the music industry. Do you agree with that?
I think that I don't know that goals always necessarily have to be realistic. You know, like I think you can have a goal that's not realistic,
Okay.
and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can shoot for the
Okay.
moon even if you miss. You're among the stars. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely can say for myself, I don't think that there's anything wrong with approaching every album you make like it's about to be the biggest album ever. I think if that's your goal, that's an okay
Okay.
goal to have. And if it don't get there, as long as you know how to manage those expectations, it'll be all right. You know, I do think that it's also important to know what your goals are overall. You know what I mean? That's cool to have that goal for an album. I want this record to be the biggest, but how much you tie your own sense of self worth and happiness to all of those things, you got to be careful with that. I think with all things in life, you know, because life is just, at least in my experience, it has shown me that it's going to throw you some curveballs. And if you attach your happiness to things, you're going to get disappointed. You know, almost all exterior things, people, you know,
Yeah.
things that happen, anything can get taken away, you know. And it's really about making sure that your goals are kind of internal. What is it that makes you happy? Knowing that first, you know what I mean? Um, and so I think that those kinds of goals are different than kind of career goals and stuff like that. And
Okay.
then, like we're talking about change, man, you know, I think that some people, you have to be careful that your goal isn't in the past. You know, you
Okay.
can't kick a field goal on a field that don't exist. You know, I'm not gonna ever score a touchdown at Candlestick.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen no more. If
Yeah.
that was my goal when I was growing up, is I'm gonna score a Candlestick and I'm gonna see Candles. They don't play there no more. You know, and I think that that's true for almost everything, but especially about music. You know, people decided, you know, when they were younger that they can't wait to go walk across the Grammy stage, then they go win the Grammy, and they're getting paid exact same amount for the show that they're doing. Uh, Grammy didn't do, you know, you may have had the dream of walking over across and getting the Grammy, and that's in itself a goal. You did that,
Yeah.
but if you had expectations attached to it about how it was going to also make you millions of dollars because you got that Grammy, then you're going to be disappointed with that
And I think
expectation.
that's the part that I meant when I say realistic is the expectations sometimes I think are realistic,
Yeah,
especially when I see I've done promotion for artists for 15 years and I see some guys that, for example, they'll come with $50 to $100 and they think they should get like $5,000 worth of results.
yeah. I mean, that's you know, I usually try to chalk that up to a learning process. You know, the people have to
Mm,
find that,
yeah.
and some of those lessons are hard lessons, man, and some of those lessons are lessons that we don't want to have or don't want to hear, and oftentimes once we realize something, may or may not have the energy to put into trying to change whatever that situation is. I mean, fact of the matter is that hip hop has a short memory span, and it's a few people that remember, but most don't. you know. Um,
Yeah.
and and that can be hard for some people. People be like, I'm popping right now, I'm popping right now, and then it's slowly, this is why I'm hot, you know, this is why I'm hot.
Yeah.
Mims. At one point, that man was on top of the world. His shit was everywhere, you know. Now
Yeah.
I saw him come in the other day leading somebody boxing, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, you know. And that's how it is, bro. Like, I mean, and it's not just music, and it's not just entertainment. That's in all walks of life, you know. I trip off
Yeah.
sometimes, especially being out here in France. You know, I go into places and some of these buildings, man, they've been here since for fucking ever, bro. You know what I mean? You walk into some place and you get you go up to a bar and it's like this bar been here since 1300s. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And then
That's
you turn
old.
around, and you think you see that there's a little stage, and you're like, damn, some motherfucker was up here playing the fiddle in 1432, killing that shit.
Damn.
And everybody in this place was like, God damn, that motherfucker played fiddle. God damn. I never heard anybody play fiddle like that. Don't nobody know who the fiddle
Damn.
player is now?
Yeah.
Don't nobody know. Don't nobody remember him. No, nobody saying his name. He might have had some incredible breakthrough that he made. He may have made the Lateef of fiddle music. Don't nobody say nobody's talking about him right now. I mean, and that is that's just the way the world is, man. You know, that's why you got to
Yeah.
make sure you're having a good time while you're doing it. You know, and be sure about why it is that you're doing it. Because I don't expect in the year 2742 for some motherfucker to be like that motherfucker. Let's eat the two speaker. I'm doing it now. I'm loving it now. I'm enjoying it now. I enjoy when people appreciate it now. Somebody comes up, I like your old shit. I like your new shit. I like what you did just now. It's all good. We're all having a good time. Just trying to have a good time up in here, while we're here. So um, I think that, as far as expectations go, um, just try your best to come tight tonight. You know what I'm saying? And expect that of yourself, and that'll be all right. I don't know how much I try not to get attached to those things. I can remember like with the when we were doing the stuff with me and Fat Boy Slim and Wonderful Night, which let me just tell you, bro,
Mhm.
first night that we ever played that song for anybody, like ladies were taking off their tops and dancing. It was just wild. We immediately knew like we had something here. Um, and we would go. We were doing Top of the Pops, and we were doing all this TV stuff and killing it.
Yeah.
The video was great, and and I loved it, and I really appreciated it while it was happening. But that was we were high on the horse. You know what I'm saying? And it's not really like you can't just have the expectation that that's going to last forever. Um, and you have to be aware of kind of the ups and downs that go with it. And I won't forget, man, early on in our career, bro, we were talking to Patanus of De La Soul.
They loud.
It was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was me, Chief XL, Mace was there, Pop. And Pop said this thing that was interesting, which in retrospect is funny because he ain't that much older than me, you know what I mean? Um, but he was like, he said some wise shit, and he was just like, man, the longer that you're in this thing, the higher the highs get and the lower the lows get.
Mm.
And I was like, really? And over time, I've been like, wow, that's very real. Because once you know that there's a certain height, you can shoot for that height. And once you shoot for that height and you get to that height and then you exceed past it, you're like, oh, wow, I'm up high. And then when you go back down to the same level it was just the ground before, that's still longer down, you know what I mean, to just a flat place. And then you look back up and you're like, oh, damn, I was way up high. And sometimes you can be up high and not realize you're up high until it's over. Um, Me and Chief XL have a song called Gone that's all about loss. And in it, I kind of try to explore this idea of just like how things are just gone, you know, they've gone away. And
Yeah.
I know it now. Um, and it's gone away. I couldn't change it if I would. Like I don't have no
Hmm.
control if that shit's gone. I thought that it would never end and it'd never be gone away. Then one day it up and ended, and now it's just gone away. I denied it at first, but that just made it worse. Now I know it for certain, for sure, it's gone away. You know, and it's how it is. You know.
So why'd you decide to make this move to France?
Oh, I met a lady out here. I did a record. I got signed out here to this project, The Strangers, and we did a record, which I'm very proud of. It's half in English, half in French, um,
Okay.
and then I was touring that record. And as I was touring that record, I had broken up with my ex, who I'd been with for a long time, like 8 years. Um, and then while I was out and about on the road, I met this woman. Her name is li.sten.to. She's an author, and she owns a publishing
Okay.
house. Um, and I just met her, and I've been with women before that were creatives, but
Uh-huh.
usually if they're rapid, it's tough because I'm better. I'm kidding. No, but with Julie, because she writes, she's an author and she writes books. There was a certain kind of overlapping of the skill set and the understanding of the
Uh-huh.
writing of the process and all of that. Um, but there's no like direct competition, and so we're just like supportive of each other and can kind of understand each other and what the processes are like, but we aren't like, hey, yo, listen to this, and we wrap your face off, so to speak. Yeah. So that's how I
So
met her, and it's been great ever since. Yeah.
I mean, I've noticed a lot of artists have moved overseas. I mean, for real hip hop artists, it's almost better to be overseas, right?
I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. You know what I mean? And also, man, I'll tell you, when I was in Oakland, I was doing a lot of work, kind of helping a lot of other artists. Like putting other
Hmm.
younger cats on and doing like I was doing like a lot of event organization, and I wouldn't perform at my events.
Okay.
I would have other people perform my events. And so there were those things. Um, and I kind of felt like, when I did come over here, I was all of a sudden a lane for a lot of young cats to get some kind of exposure and get some work and get some money in their pocket had disappeared when I left. Not that there aren't other people that are
Okay.
doing it. There certainly are, but I know in Oakland, I find that there are a lot of really really good artists, and unfortunately, at a certain point, they got to move to LA. Because
Okay.
there's not an industry that's able to support them or help them in the Bay Area in that way. You can do it independent for a while, but then at some point you gotta go to LA and try, at least try, like we said, to shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you end up on the stars. I think that there are some difficulties doing it outside of the states as well. Number one is, straight up, you're a foreigner. I mean, I struggle out here with the language. The language is not easy.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and it makes it so that there are other things that can be potential. There's some things culturally, the French aren't really wild about talking about money, and where I'm from in Oakland, bro,
Okay.
you talk about money directly. In fact, if you don't want to talk about money, it
Okay.
makes me look at you real sideways. You know what I mean? Like, why you can't talk
Yeah.
to me directly about money? And that makes me feel like you're being shady. And that's straight up a cultural difference, you know?
Yeah.
I think they would rather not talk about it, or talk about it through management or talk about it through lawyers or some other way. Um, which is not just them. People are like that in the States too. It's just I'm
Yeah.
not like that, And generally speaking, business where I'm from isn't done like that. But so I think that there are some things that are also difficult, being abroad, and you still got to kind of stay tapped into the States anyway, because I don't know. For me, it just feels like that there are people in the States that like my stuff, and I want to continue the conversation that we're having.
Yeah.
So I, I do think that the United States right now is difficult and getting more difficult, and I'm not sure when it'll be less difficult. You know, um, and I think especially I'm one of these OG triple OG. I'm an OG cat, you know what I mean? And
Uh,
especially outside of the United States, I've realized that systemically in the United States, there's some really big problems that I don't know can get fixed in my lifetime. Like this healthcare thing, bro. I had
you said the what? You said
the,
healthcare?
the healthcare stuff in America is broken. Like
Yeah,
crazy broken. I'm here in France. I
yeah.
had this thing the other day. I have this benign cyst, and it got inflamed, and I had to get it operated on and taken out. Then I had to have a nurse come to my house for 2 weeks to, make sure to do wound management on me and everything. Uh, I had to get the vitamins. The whole thing with the nurse, that whole thing cost me like €200,
Yeah.
bro. If I'd have been in the States, it'd have been like 10 to 15 racks.
Yeah. They
Especially
charge
having a
you
nurse
like
every day.
$100 for a cheap ass burger and stuff.
It's not really sustainable.
Yeah.
Um, and that to me is the part where I'm like over here. I'm like, oh wow, that's a big difference. Not to mention that here in France, if I were to become a citizen and whatnot, they have their
Mhm.
system here, the spectac system, and if you're an artist, you get unemployment if you're not working.
Oh damn. Yeah,
What?
they're not giving no musicians unemployment in America for not.
Okay, hold on.
Oh,
And
what?
I'm
You
not,
can't get no shows? Oh, you screwed.
and I'm not even sure of exactly what the amount is now, but I know that a couple, maybe like 8, 9 years ago, it was like you had to do something like 42 shows in a year to
Mhm.
qualify. And if you did 42 shows in a year, the next year, if you didn't do any shows, you were getting paid 3K a month.
Damn.
A month.
Damn.
Yeah. So I mean, not like a ton of money, $36,000 a year, but that's expected to be while you're working on your next record and still
Yeah.
doing shows. It supplements your
You
economy.
think the you think the music industry needs a union?
It needed a union a long time ago. I think, and it ain't just the music industry. America needs unions. So it
Yeah.
has some. Those are some of the best jobs. My brothers are working local 510, been getting it. You know,
Yeah.
union work is good work.
Yeah, yeah.
Longshoreman work is good work. Because of the unions. America needs unions. Yeah, I'm pro union for sure. The entertainment industry is no different shit. Man, a lot of the most money that I've gotten paid in the industry has been through SAG-AFTRA, the the union for actors, and
Yeah, because
because my song
everybody
was
in the
in some
entertainment
movie or
industry
some
has a
show.
union, right? I
Well,
mean,
if your
actors
show,
got unions,
yeah,
athletes got unions.
if your song is like in a movie or something like that, then you get SAG-AFTRA money, and that's real money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like if you get licensed to be in a movie or in a television show or even commercials. Yeah. I mean, the union is really where, in my experience in the industry, it's one of the places I've gotten the most money is from the union, for sure.
That's
For
what's
sure.
up. So when are we looking at some release dates on your up and coming project or projects?
So I have, so I had just put out this experimental slap record, which was only vinyl.
Okay.
There's 250 copies.
Okay.
Um, and there's some of the songs are available online for streaming, but only like 4 or 5, I think, of them. Um, I have this new Lateef and the Chief record that's finished,
Okay.
but we're finding a home for it. So that one I wouldn't expect to be out for another year or so. Um,
Okay.
there's this growl music that I'm working on out here with the French cats, and that we have the record finished, but it still has to be mixed and everything. Looking at maybe the end of the year, beginning of next year, somewhere in there. For
Hmm.
that to be put out. And then I have a series that I'm going to start putting out of, again, just strictly vinyl, that are going to be called True Friends. and it's going to be kind of like I would compare it to kind of being like a compilation series. So it's going to be like
Mm,
a bunch of stuff from my catalog, but it'll be themed with one of my friends that I made it all with. So I have true friends,
okay.
Lateef and Gifty Gab, and it's a bunch of songs that we've done together. Some of which you may have heard, some of which you may not have. Some of them never been released. I have another one I'm doing with Shadow, where over the course of our careers, me and Shadow have done about 12 songs together. So I'm gonna pull them all
Okay.
together, put them on a record with a new song on it. True friends, Lateef and DJ Shadow. Same thing with Lyrics Born. Same thing with Fat Boy Slim. Same thing with because I'm primarily a collaborative artist throughout my entire career. If I put one of those records out every 2 to 3 months, I can put them out for the next like 4 years. You know,
Okay.
yeah. So
And out of
it's
all your projects, what do you feel like is the most underrated?
most underrated project that I worked probably the Mighty Underdogs. The Mighty
Okay.
Underdogs. The record I did that record with Headmatic and the Gifted Gab. The the first of all, the year that it came out, 2008, extremely weak
Okay.
year for hip hop. That was a year when a bunch of cats. That was the year that DMX put out his record, and that record was bunk. You know what I mean? Ludacris put out a record. It was not its best record. All of these cats that were supposed to be putting out the records that were supposed to be records of the year, their records were not good. Um, and that record, The Mighty Underdog, Dropping Science Fiction, came out right then, and it was, in my opinion, maybe top five hip hop album of that year. I mean, and the guests, in addition to just we had Lyrics Born on it, but we had like Rashawn and Tash from the Alcoholics, and Charlie is on it.
Okay.
We had a bunch, but if you had like Damian Marley is on the record, Damian and Julian
Okay.
Marley is on the record. Uh, MF
That's
Doom
what's
is on
up.
the record. You know,
Oh man. Yeah.
Mr. Lift is on the record. It's a phenomenal lineup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guests were so good that one of the nights on the record was like, oh, they're leaning on the guests a little bit. I'm like, yeah, because we got some motherfucking guests on this record, bro. Damian Marley, my guy. It ain't just nobody, and he wasn't like he came with a weak verse. It's just fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that I would probably point at that as being like my most slept on. There's also an EP for it that has a great song with Ladybug Mecca on it. Hey baby. Uh,
Oh, from
yeah,
Diggable?
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I would say that that's probably the most slept on thing. Although I say that, and then every once in a while somebody comes up to me and they're just like, "Mighty Underdogs, it's my favorite record." So,
Yeah, man. I mean, I like what I heard from you, man. I mean, you got a lot of different styles. You got the records where you singing. Like you said something about people calling some of your records pop. There was one record I felt like I guess you could say it sounded like a pop record, but like for me, I like that. I don't, I think sometimes hip hop artists can put themselves in a box. Sometimes, they have this mindset: if I do this, I'm selling out. I thought the goal was to sell out. We try to sell out tours. We try to sell out merchandise. We try to sell out CDs. We try to sell out the vinyl. We try to sell out the bag of chips with our name, the cereal box with our face on. We try to sell out everything.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, and I mean, selling out is always it's different. It can mean different things to different people, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I said, did Lauryn Hill sell out because her record went triple and quadruple, went however many times platinum that it did? She didn't really sell
I
out.
don't think
Like
so.
she just made the record that she wanted to make, and it just did well. It's not really selling
Yeah,
out. You know, I feel like the same with like Outkast. I feel like the same about like almost any big record. You know what I mean? I mean, there's definitely some stuff that comes out and it's in a pop genre, but there's some stuff that
yeah.
it's just pop because it's popular.
It's so popular. Yeah.
you know?
I think there was a few artists I think through the years that were like that happened. I don't think 50 Cent was shooting for trying to make pop records or Get Rich
Nah,
or Die Trying. I think some records just got so big that they became pop. They crossed over to that pop, you know, world. I mean,
yeah,
when I first really got into hip hop, the first artist that really got me into hip hop was playing on top 40 pop radio stations, and that was Heavy D and the Boys. Made a sound that sounds like pop music.
Absolutely. And I mean, and at that time, Heavy D is a great example. My diggly 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 diggly. I mean, that stuff. It was pop in the sense that he
That
was
was the
working with.
song. That was the
Yeah,
song.
yeah. And I mean, he was working with Teddy Riley, who was the biggest
Yep.
producer in the world at the time. And but when he was getting on the track, he wasn't making it pop. If anything, like we were talking about, he was being the bigger amoeba. He was making Teddy Riley sound like him. You know, for real.
Yeah.
For real. Yeah, my first
Well, before we
concert.
let you go, is any shout outs you'd like to do? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish up.
I was just gonna say my first concert was Too Short opening, um Climax, Meeting in the Ladies Room, that featuring Roger, and then the headliner was Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh. And Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh didn't sell
That's
out; they were just selling
yeah.
out the arena. You know,
Yep.
that's it.
Before we let you go though, is any shout outs you want to do? I don't know if there's you got some artists or producers you might want to shout out.
I'll just shout out to the cats that I've been working with. The Growl cats out here. Um, Again, Cyril Lateef, General Electric,
Okay.
Leroy. Those are my brothers. I've been working with them out here tough, and we've been making some good music together. Chief XL, the new thing we got going
Okay.
on. DJ Shadow, it's my guy. Lyrics Born, one of my best friends in the world. Nick Andre, who produced that last vinyl only experimental slap thing. My Hyro guys. I've been super tight and kicking. Not even just my Hyro guys, man. My Hyro guys, my Sunspot Jones, Grouch, Luck, Living Legends, all of those cats been super. We've had some big losses in our community lately, and for those of us that are
Right.
around still, Pep Love, Casual, all of us have gotten a lot tighter. Evidence, Charlie Tuna, and a bunch of the cats from the Jurassic Five. A lot of the West Coast
Jurassic
underground
5,
cats,
yeah.
Visionaries is still link up. Shout out to Atmosphere pulled me in on that. Not on his last record, but the record before. I was on that Pressed song. On that record, I was just honored to be invited to get on the song. And like I told you that story earlier, this is a guy who came to, hey, I like the record. Working at the record store. Years later, look at his career and what he's been able to do is fantastic. Um, great, great performer, et cetera, et cetera. And even just the whole Rhyme Sayers clique in general, you know what I mean? All of the Freestyle Fellowship cats, Um, yeah, man, hip hop in general, bro. I love hip hop. Hip hop has gotten me all across the world and opened a lot of doors for me and helped give a nice framework for the life I've lived. And I'm thankful to it all,
Did you did you ever know my man D Wise from the Bums? He was from your area.
I know of him. I don't know him personally, but I know of him. Yeah. 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 A lot of
Yeah, I
cats.
know
I
he
give a
got a
shout out,
barber shop out there.
he's what?
He got a barber shop out there in Oakland.
True. Yeah. He probably knows my cousin Robeson, my cousin Robe P. He cuts hair out there. But yeah, and I'll give a shout out to the homie, Gift the Gab, um, Zumbi, Zion I, uh,
Okay.
Shock G, you know, um, Oakland lost a lot of heroes, hometown heroes recently. Although I'd say Gab is more of a West Coast hero, but Sacramento and LA. Um, but yeah, man, shout out.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out. You a friend of the show now. If you want to come back on, please do. I'm gonna make sure I get off here, clip up some clips for the interview, and promote those out. I'll send you my email if you want to send any music for our live music reviews. Please
Cool.
do, man. And anytime I see a post come by, I'm gonna make sure I like, comment, and all that good stuff, man. And I'm gonna go in more to your catalog and check it out too. But I like what I've been hearing, man, because you're really unpredictable, I think, with the music.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, man. I try, man. Try not to repeat myself. Repeat myself. Repeat myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
repetition can be a bad thing sometimes. It could get boring after a while.
it can. But the other side of that though, man. Doom. One trick pony. But man, is it a good trick? That's a great trick. I want to see that trick again.
Wow. Well, once again, I
Oh, you know,
appreciate it, man. Well, go ahead. Go
you know
ahead.
who I'm gonna give a shout out to, who I think had a really good record. Came out I think last year. Curious, bro. I
Oh,
don't know if you
okay.
heard Curious's record.
I
I
ain't
was
heard his new
impressed, man.
record.
I was impressed, bro. That dude got styles. I mean, he's always been great,
Yeah.
but I hadn't heard anything from him in a while before I heard that record, and I was like, oh wow, this dude hasn't stopped. this guy's this guy's still rapping, and he ain't stopped rapping because his mastery. I mean, because him and Doom, they shared that style. That was their style, and on a couple of those songs, he's definitely doing that style. And then all of a sudden, he just is like, oh, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna do a different style now. Oh, and I'm gonna do a different style now. Oh, and it's like, oh wait, you're not just. Oh, okay, you got a whole bunch of tricks in this bag. Okay, yeah, no, that was a good record. I enjoyed that record a lot. Hmm.
Yeah, you probably got to be a real hip hop head to know Curious nowadays. I think there's a lot of people that need to be reintroduced to a guy like him. He had that song back in the day, something about a duck or something. Walk like a
Yeah,
duck,
well,
was it?
yeah, but that's not this record that he just did.
Yeah.
Oh man, he really put on. There's a couple of cats that I would say as they've gotten as time has gone on, they've gotten better. One of those cats is Evidence. Evidence from
Okay.
Valley of the
Yeah.
Pickets,
Yeah. Evidence is nice. He's
bro.
nice.
Bro, he does stuff
He's
now
real
rapping
nice.
that
Yeah.
he did not used to do when he first started. And over
Okay.
that whole run of like Weatherman, like started like right around Weatherman stuff. All of a sudden, this dude's
Yeah.
lyrics just started to be just tremendous. Like, who are you rapping like this, bro? Um, yeah, he's that's another cat that I think has gotten a lot better. And I like a lot of the younger cats too. You know what I'm saying? I like a lot of these younger dudes. I'm into all of it. I listen to all of it. Cats from the Bay, you know what I mean, and cats from
Uh-huh.
elsewhere too. I'm very supportive in my listening habits. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, I never understood why guys get worse as they get older. It's not like, basketball where you can't run fast no more, you can't jump high no more,
It's true.
you know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
And
Master Ace is a guy that through the years, like if you look at early Master Ace to where he's at now, his style just evolved to this style that's just it's almost perfect rhyming perfection almost.
yeah, no, he's incredible. And Master Ace has been great since he started, but yeah, I agree. He's continued to elevate his game. You know.
And that's
Yeah.
not always the case for guys. Sometimes guys just completely fall off, man. I've heard it. I've heard some very disappointing things from guys from the era that I grew up really listening to. It's just it's a head scratcher to me sometimes. Like, wow, like
You
what
know,
happened?
me and Gab talked about this, and me and X talk about this sometimes. But one of the things about rap that's kind of a trip is you kind of got to stay in the game. Like you got to, it's like a boxing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like boxing is
yeah.
not something that you just like walk away from and then just be coming back and I'm gonna start
Come
boxing
back.
again. You're gonna
Yeah,
get knocked out all the time. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, like what happened? I used to
yeah.
not get knocked out. I get knocked out every day, my guy. Um, Rapping is one of those things that you have to be staying inspired and continue evolving and stay tapped in on some level with what it is that's going on and what's popular, even if that's not what you're going to do. But I can tell you
Yeah.
right now, like I listen to the Coast Contra guys, I'm inspired. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Them cats is raw.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
um, and I don't feel so bad once I find out that Razkaz is their dad. That man, I feel better.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, y'all had a head start. That's cool. That's cool. Y'all good.
Yeah.
But Pivot Gang, them cats, fantastic. Uh, there's a lot of young cats that you know, I mean, our future is kind of middle of the road now. You know what I mean? But there's tons of groups, and I'm into, I listen to, learn, and study all of those cats because I feel like that's what it takes to stay on top of this thing. And if you like it, then like it. Don't not like it, like we said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, appreciate you taking time out, man. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. What is it about like 9 p.m. Over there now?
yeah, it's getting there. Yeah, 9:15.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like 4 here still, so we still got a lot of day. But like I said, you're a friend of the show. I'm gonna send you my contact info. I got your text, so I'm the kind of guy that likes to hit people up from time to time to check how you doing. So
cool, man.
you expect the text to see. I'll probably text you holidays or something. Just make sure you're doing good and stuff like that.
Sounds good, man. On some Wu Tang. Expect the text. Cool. So,
All right, well, enjoy the rest of your day, man.
cool. You too, man.
All right, appreciate it.
All good. Likewise. Peace.
All right, peace. Well, there you have it. Another interview under the books. Lateef, the truth speaker, definitely got a lot of different styles. Very unpredictable. Go check out some of his projects. He had a few group ones. I can't believe I got the name right. Lyrics with lyrics born. He got out most underrated one, and you got Lateef and the Chief with Chief XL. Of course, he's got the solo, which I went through and listened to. It was called let me get it, make sure I got it right. Firewire. Firewire. I was definitely impressed. A lot of different styles. He don't just rap, he also sings on some of the tracks as well. And just a lot of good different vibes on there, man. A lot of different vibes. It's unpredictable. It doesn't stay just one sound. He experiments with a lot of different sounds. And yeah, man, they definitely gotta get that union in the music industry, though. Definitely gotta get that union in the music industry. Appreciate everybody staying tune in for as long as y'all did. Um, shout to Dan the Automator. Appreciate you, Craig, Steven, uh, Venegas. Probably butchered that last name. Tomorrow we got music reviews. Submit to livefromfayettenam at gmail.com. We about to wrap it up, get off here and clip up some clips. Also, I'm gonna clip out the interview and upload it separately because I was on I got the times mixed up. I thought they was literally 6 hours ahead and they were 5 hours ahead. So I came on at 2 p.m., which was 7 p.m. their time, and I was really supposed to be 3 p.m., 8 p.m. his time. But really great guy, man. A lot of interesting things. Been in the underground scene for a hot minute. Seen a lot of things. Now he's overseas, so he's seeing how it is overseas. You see how it is in the U.S. market, and that's you never know where the world takes you, man. You born in Oakland and raised in Oakland, and you end up living in France, man. Who knows where life is going to take you? Appreciate y'all, man, for tuning in, and we about to wrap it up. Peace. I'm out.